So the Reform Civil War continues in a very brand new, spectacular way. You obviously all remember when Rupert Lowe left the party because he wants to take the party in a lot more very, very, shall we say, overtly racist kind of way, where Nigel Farage has always skirted the line. Nigel Farage has, shall we say, indulged in what I call in the UK middle class racism. Not outright, shall we say, doing racist things, but doing things that are like, oh, we're just talking about all the worries that, this large immigration numbers cost, while really sort of, trying to dog whistle all the racism that goes with it, while not, shall we say, engaging or, shall we say, touching people like Tommy Robinson with a barge pole. However, along come people like Rupert Lowe and, who want to go in that direction. And especially we saw on the PMQs yesterday, where you had two Reform MPs, even their brand new Reform MP, basically call for a burqa ban, which, again, goes against this whole idea of what Nigel wants to build for this party. He wants to keep it in this middle class racism thing, and that burqa ban is a step too far. It goes in the direction, would take the party in a direction he does not want to go, because if he goes in that direction, all of a sudden he would lose a lot of support, and I mean a lot of support. For example, you would lose the support of people like Zia Yusuf, who has been not that good, to be honest. You look at people who sing his praises in Reform, saying, "Oh, he's done great work." Well, what has he actually done? Meanwhile, of course, you look at a lot of his critics who basically turn around and say, "Yeah, he's done nothing," which leads me to believe, yeah, he really has done nothing, because his supporters really can't name anything that he's actually done in the party. For it to be good. He was meant to be like professionalizing and democratizing the party so it become a proper, like full-on proper political party. That has not happened in well over a year he has been in that position. So this is a huge step thing, and especially when this all happened just right around the time of the whole Musk and Trump stuff. Maybe I'll get into that. I don't know. It's still a bit, but it's not, I think, as spicy as this, because this is going to really hurt Reform, I think, in some very spectacular ways. And always remember, we said this back under the Rupert Lowe stuff, that if Nigel Farage cannot control such a small group of MPs, how on earth would he manage to keep control of 40, 60, maybe over 100? It would be impossible for him, and Reform's whole image, the whole thing it would try to do, would collapse almost instantly, because there was no way he would be able to control that. He can't. He has no party management skills whatsoever. And the fact that this has all happened, apparently it's going around saying that he had no idea about that question either. Zia Yusuf basically told him about 10 minutes, apparently, before he went public. So this is, I think, the implosion on this. And I think it's just, as we've talked about before, the sheer incompetence of Reform that is really going to be their downfall. And this is just another example of this. So let's go into this and why Zia Yusuf resignation will really impact Reform in a lot of very, very negative ways. And it's going to be fun to watch, because, as I always predicted, this party was just destined to fall apart. This is going the exact same way as the Brexit party, as in UKIP. So let's dig into this then, shall we? But before, of course, we go on to this, please do remember to click the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Of course, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let's crack on then into this. So why Zia Yusuf's resignation matters for Reform UK? So the resignation of Zia Yusuf as Reform's UK chairman matters because he was a very central character in a standout trend in the British politics since the general election, the rise of Nigel Farage's party. It's again very true, but maybe now this is where we start to see the fall in this case. So after 11 months in the role, Yusuf said on Thursday that working to get the party elected was no longer a good use of my time without expanding further. And oh boy, maybe we'll get a further explanation of this, because there is no way you can just walk away and just say, well, this isn't a further good use of his time. There's no way you can just walk away from that and not expand on that. Or there's going to be some stuff that might come out, I don't know, maybe this weekend, maybe he'll give an interview at some point soon. We'll get some more details. But I have a very, very big sneaking suspicion it is to do with that whole burqa ban, and to do with the fact that it was followed up by, again, Lee Anderson. It chimed in on it, saying that he supported this idea. Meanwhile, of course, Farage goes silent. Zia Yusuf comes out and criticizes it, saying, this isn't what you should be doing. Meanwhile, Rupert Lowe, of course, encourages it, once again, fueling the whole Reform civil war. So, it comes, of course, after Yusuf said that it was dumb for Reform newest MP to call for the ban of burqas, veil worn by some Muslim women that cover the face and body. I met, of course, this 30-something Muslim son of Sri Lankan immigrants and even former Conservatives when he was, of course, unveiled by Reform almost a year ago as a donor who had just handed the party over £200 million. Gee, I wonder if he regrets. I wonder if he regrets that. Anyway, Yusuf is, of course, a self-made billionaire after setting up and then selling Velocity Black, a luxury concierge service. Not long after his donation to Reform, he was offered and accepted the job of party chairman. And he wouldn't just be someone behind the scenes, he would be a public figure too. So how can we measure how important this moment is? I reckon there are three things worth examining as we assess Zia Yusuf's contribution to Reform UK. Firstly, money. Yusuf is a rich man, and giving away £200 million is very generous by anyone's book. But Reform UK received £2.8 billion in donations last year, so the party isn't, of course, reliant on his money. Secondly, Yusuf heritage and ethnicity. To expand in the popularity, let alone win a general election, Reform, of course, needs to win and widen its appeal. Having now a minority ethnic man as one of its figureheads could at least help her tamper the criticisms from rival parties that Reform, or at least some of its members or supporters, were, of course, racist. Doesn't help that you've had the whole burqa ban thing going on there. Secondly, and thirdly, shall we say, his organizational skills. Yusuf is, of course, credited with building much of the infrastructure up to now. The Reform now is assembling to try to set up at lightning speed, to try and turn them now from insurgency into general election winners in just a handful of years. And now he is gone. The party has now soared during his tenure, but this is also true, and how now the former chairman put it, a rather lot of noises out now of joint now with Reform. And we'll have to see, of course, where this goes. But maybe this could be the beginning of the end, because I've said this very much since the beginning. I think Farage is having a big 15 moments of fame, that this is just, look how popular it is. And I've said this since the beginning, since day one. He has to keep their momentum going for the next 4 years, not stumble, not fumble, not have any big significant scandals. Well, Just look at all the stuff we've been covering on like the reform councils going on. If that's how bad it is in in councils, just what on earth would a government that they would be forming look like? Where they're in charge of making national policy? How on earth would that work? It quite frankly doesn't. So I think, as I've said many times before, they are going to be the source of their own downfall. And if they are having this problems, this amount of falling out at this level, where you've just lost like Zia Yusuf, your chairman, this isn't good for the party. This is going to be a very bad move for them. So, were his, of course, interpersonal skills, of course, at the top of his list of attributes? No, Farage told GB News. The staffer shown the door would, of course, joke that they had been, quote, Goldman sacked. Reference now to Zia Yusuf's former employer and investment bank Goldman Sachs. Plenty, of course, tell me that the grumbles about his approach to running the party went beyond the gripes you can find in any workplace about the bosses. Farage and, of course, the parties he has led, the UK Independent, UKIP, of course, the Brexit Party and Reform UK, have had one heck of a track record with bust-ups, fallouts, sackings and resignations. Douglas Carswell, Diane James, Patrick O'Flynn, Godfrey Bloom, Suzanne Evans, Ben Habib, Rupert Lowe. The list just goes on, and now Zia Yusuf. The biggest reason why the slated, of course, departure really matters it is a stark now reminder that the central ingredient in the rapid scaling up of Reform UK is going to be the hiring of staff who stick around long enough to actually help turn it into a potential election-winning machine. The party now is attempting something utterly unprecedented, and while, again, the force of Farage personality has taken care, at least can take them a long way, bringing in now a range of depth and expertise, at least some who can actually last the course, will be very central too. Farage has never managed, of course, that before, and right now he has to find himself a new chairman. And I think that is right. I think there is so much stuff going on behind the scenes, which we will probably find out sooner or later. But I guarantee you this now, Yusuf looked at that and when that's the wrong direction for the party to be going. Because again, as I said, Farage, so this whole idea, ever since the UKIP days of you want to be, middle class racist. You're not going to use any, shall we say, of the what you would see from like the Britain First crowd or the Tommy Robinson crowd. That's far too crass. But if you're just back here and just saying, well, we're just questioning the numbers, we're just asking questions about immigration, we're not really, even though again you are dog whistling exactly to that crowd, there just comes a point where again you elect those types of people into your party again with Lee Anderson, of course, their new MP in particular. Then what do you do? Well, eventually this is going to have an impact on your party, and you're going to end up losing a lot of support because there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of ex-conservatives in that party who now look at that and go, yeah, they're not comfortable with that. They're not comfortable with that type of language and rhetoric. And as thus, maybe they now consider their, shall we say, place in reform. Ultimately, that may attract, of course, other people to the party, but it's not the right type of people that, shall we say, Farage is, comfortable with rubbing shoulders with, shall we say. So, as always, let me know what you think down below, because I really do think that this resignation is going to matter to Reform UK in a long run. And I have to wonder what implications this is going to have down the line. I really do have to wonder. Because I've said it and I've said it before. Farage has to keep this momentum running up for the next 4 years. And when you've lost one of your MPs, you've had one of your quote new MPs come out go, oh yeah, we should ban the burqa. Probably one of the biggest racist dog whistles there are out there. Now you've had your chairman quit. probably over that, because it certainly looks like it. Certainly does look like it. I suspect what he wanted was Farage to, like, punish her, at least, you know, crack the whip. But apparently not. And that's why maybe he's left. And after all, he did say, it's no longer worth my time. What? Why is it no longer worth his time? What happened behind the scenes? And don't worry, we will find out. Might take some time. Might be tomorrow for all we know. But oh boy, will we find out eventually. And I can guarantee you, I think it is because of Farage's party management skills that he refused to sort of, you know, say something to that MP. I think he did. I think that's what caused it. Like I say, let me know what you think down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.